Oh dear. Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. Alright, I'm going to talk about a very interesting topic today. Now, John Piper, if you don't know John Piper, I recommend that you Google him because it's a very interesting thing because his son made a TikTok video where he seemingly was mocking Christianity of the Bible, took a little bit of a memory lane down his Sunday school days and all that nonsense. He just said some ridiculous things. Felt like, I don't know, he was high, maybe he smoked something, he just felt like, let me just say some dumb things. I don't know, but he's a preacher's kid. And there's always this kind of like an expectation that's set on someone who happens to be the child of a prominent figure. You know, it's almost like we expect you to do better because your dad did better. And it's weird that we always never seem to separate how they turn out to be these rebellious kids as though they just chose to just live this rebellious lifestyle. Like, okay, I want to be rebellious because I'm a preacher's son, or I'm a child of an evangelist, a famous evangelist, or someone who has made great contributions in Christianity or in the Christian faith. As though we are not partially somehow responsible for leading them down that path, when we know very well that it's like, oh wait, you're John Piper's son and you mocking the Bible? Like, how's that possible? Why isn't it possible? It should be possible. I mean, he's his own individual. He's just like anybody. Just because I've got children doesn't mean that my children will maybe not see the value in the Bible or will not become believers in some way. That happens all the time. He's just like any other child, any other person's son, or any other person who isn't a believer. They are a child of somebody. So if there is an unbeliever that exists out there, why can't John Piper's son be a skeptic? Why can't he, not like look at the Bible and think that it's just a book full of fairy tales and whatever the case may be, right? It's weird that we somehow absolve ourselves from the equation that leads these young people down this spiraling path of disbelief or ridicule for the Christian faith. Because to begin with, let's put this into perspective here. How does it all work out? If you grow up in a household where your mother and father believe in God, you go to church not by choice. It's a family thing. It's a tradition. You have to go along with it. So you're basically riding on the coattails of your parents. You didn't choose their belief. They chose for you already by default. Teach a child when they're still young and they will not forget. They might not forget. That doesn't mean that they will believe. It doesn't mean that they'll be convinced or they'll be convicted by whatever you're teaching. We believe whatever our parents believe. We gotta understand that. Okay, because we go along with whatever they go along with. We go to Sunday school and whatever you put them to Sunday school, take them to youth camp and whatever the case may be. Thus far, we got to understand they are not choosing for themselves. You chose for them. When you do anything that places children in a position where they must do something. We haven't been a Sunday school teacher. I've seen kids who were preachers' children and they'll be told that, hey, behave. You know that your dad is a preacher now. Like, there's this expectation that we place on them. It's a yoke of some sort that becomes a heavy burden on them, whereby they must meet this expectation of some sort that they don't understand as yet. What do you do? They don't understand. Don't do that to children because they don't understand as yet. You know, you're putting a yoke on them over something that they are just trying to grasp and going along with. Because if they don't go along with, they're going to get in trouble or something. They want to make mommy and daddy happy. So they are burdened with this responsibility of thinking that I have to behave. I have to behave like this. I have to talk like this. I got to do all these different type of things that don't coincide with what I understand. They don't understand. They are still children. They need to be left alone to be children. It's that simple, right? But do we do that? Nope. We put a yoke on them, give them a list of rules of what to expect, how to behave, how to dress, how to think. We don't allow them to be themselves. And by the time they leave home and they're trying to be themselves, they start mingling with other people of different beliefs. They start questioning themselves about their own identity. Who am I as a person? Why do I actually really go to church anyway? Do I actually really believe in these things? And they realize that, you know what? I don't actually think I really believe this because, you know what? I was just going along with it because that's what I was told. Everybody comes across this thing. Doesn't matter what belief system you're from. Doesn't matter what culture. But when you leave your home and maybe you're in college or whatever the case may be, especially in varsity, you start mingling with other different people who think differently and challenge you. And you realize that I'm actually standing on loose ground here, man. You know, it's not a solid ground. You never had a solid foundation where you question things for yourself. And I always encourage people, and I was very careful when I was teaching children that I did not follow a traditional methodology of putting a yoke on them, but I allowed them to be themselves, to be children, to doubt, to have questions, to be children, because that's what they're supposed to do. My job is to guide them, and my job is to provide them with the best tools that they can use even later on in future. The best gift that you can give your children is to equip them, is to teach them how to use the tools. Thus far, you fighting the battles for them. But there will come a point in time where they have to fight their battle. And if you don't equip them with the necessary battle tactics, and they're out there by themselves, and they're mingling with different people, and they become challenged by different things, they will realize that I don't know how to use these tools at all, because I never learned how to use the tools. They can't use them because they weren't equipped, but instead they were burdened with this yoke around their neck of expectations. And anything that you burden children with, any yoke that you put on them, they will rebel against it. One way or the other, whether you like it or not, they will rebel against it. Okay. So I'm not surprised that John Piper's son is like marking the Bible or anything like that, taking a trip down memory lane. Maybe he's learned to smoke a couple of things here and there. Hey, you know what? I don't have any boundaries here. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Why can't I smoke this? Why can't he do certain things that he feels like he wants to do? Because it's fun for him to do that. At the very least, he knows where he stands. So here's the thing. Where he stands right now is in a position whereby he felt obligated to believe what he believed. That puts him on a different category than different individuals who still go along with a belief system on the basis of obligatory mandate. The obligation is to uphold a tradition that was passed down onto them by their parents, which is something else. You know what I mean? It's great that you're doing what you're doing, but I still see a lot of people, they go to church because they still feel obligated. They still feel like they're responsible for passing on the torch. It's a tradition that was passed down on them by their parents. So the way that they make sense of church and the Bible and God is on the basis of a tradition, on the basis of how they perceive themselves as an individual who has found himself based off this tradition, these patterns that have been passed down on them by their parents. So it feels like a family thing. It forms part of who they are as a person. They can't see themselves outside of the scope of that traditional pattern or that belief system in any way. I don't have a problem with what you are believing or with where you are exercising that. I just have a problem with that. It can be a problem when you base your convictions on someone else's convictions, because at some point in time, you're going to get shaken up. It might be that you lose your parents or you lose your children and then you begin to question God. That happens a lot when people get shaken up a little bit. Then all of a sudden, they start to question God's existence, because pain is the number one thing that makes people to question. You either will question God or you will question the basis of your own beliefs by which you stand on. And if you're not firmly rooted on a firm foundation, you're not going to believe in God. Let me read you a quote by somebody, A. John Scott. The fact of suffering undoubtedly constitutes the single greatest challenge to the Christian faith and has been in every generation. Its distribution and degree appear to be entirely random and therefore unfair. Sensitive spirits ask if it can possibly be reconciled with God's justice and love. Pain and suffering, the number one thing that has posed the biggest problem to modern theism, and has proven to be one of the strongest pillars that atheists place their arguments on. Or if God is good, why is there human suffering? Life will shake you up if you're not careful, because you haven't gotten to that point where you firmly rooted yourself in a strong foundation. So, hey, it's all good. If you feel like, hey, you know what, if you don't question yourself, why do you believe in what you believe? Are you just following what you believe? Are you still going to church because that's just what your parents sort of pioneered for you? That's entirely up to you, but one day is one day. Something's going to happen and it's going to shake your faith. That's when you're really going to ask yourself, why do you believe in what you believe in? You're going to find yourself marking the Bible, maybe. Hey, I've been there, done that. I've come across a lot of people who talk like that. I've been there, done that. done this whole Christian thing. Okay, so why did you do it? So Christianity is what you do. So you were doing Christianity. You were not a Christian. There's a lesson in all this. We have to allow children to be children. You have to allow them to doubt and allow them to question when they are still young, when it's still early on. You have to allow them to find their own path. If you do not do that, they will do that themselves, and they will do that during a point in time when you're not there to hold their hand through the whole process, because they don't really see you as a good point of reference when it comes to somebody who's going to provide them with answers of substance, for where they are in their lives at that point in time. They see you as somebody who represents a yoke of some sort that they're just tired of, and they want to get away from that. So that's the lesson in that. So John Piper's son, hey man, look, maybe one day he may come to a point where he really just, something might happen. God may touch his heart in some way, and he may look at this very differently, instead of looking at it from his personal experiences that he may have come across, or that may have led him to this path. Maybe he just enjoys the pleasures of this world a lot more than being a Christian. Hey, you never know. But God uses crooked sticks to make straight lines. It is what it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If you do experience something like this and you have children that need prayers and that who aren't believing anymore, or maybe you grew up taking them to church and they're not going to church anymore, and you've been praying and been hoping, do leave your comment there. Do say so in the comment section and let me know, and I'll say a prayer for you as well. Other than that, thanks for watching. Do like the video, do leave a comment, subscribe if you wish to watch more videos, hit that notification bell. Other than that, what can be said, man? It's just one of those things. Nothing new. Same old story. Still the same loving God anyway. Thanks for stopping by. Peace.